The story of the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University College of Law is characterized by heroism and triumphs over unfavorable odds. Not only is it a defining chapter in FAMU's history, but it also reveals much about Florida and her people. Indeed, the birth, death, and reestablishment of the FAMU College of Law all closely mirrored the political and social climate of Florida from the 1940s to the early 2000s. It is a microcosmic tale of the state's capital city, the Sunshine State's citizens, their values, and their changing attitudes. Tallahassee, a small garden city stretched across 7 rolling hills, provided a fertile soil of potential hands-on experiences for the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University College of Law to use while cultivating legal professionals. By studying in Florida's capital city, law students could occupy front row seats to the stage of all things judicial and political in the Sunshine State. The graduates of the FAMU College of Law have become historic figures in the annals of legal education. They were descendants of slaves who were set free by one of the most brutal civil wars in the history of the world. Their grandparents lived by an unspoken code of conduct that diminished the quality of their lives, and their fathers and mothers endured decades of a segregated existence that restricted their human potential. There was one powerful concept that helped them to keep the faith. It was found in the words of the Declaration of Independence, and it said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Because of their faith in the Declaration of Independence, their belief in the Constitution, and their understanding of the power of law to transform a nation, they decided to help create a better world and break free from the traditional paths open to African Americans, like Virgil Hawkins, who came from a long line of preachers, but who wanted to help his country live up to its ideals by becoming a lawyer. They too believed that this was a nation of laws and not just of men and women, and began to dream of becoming protectors of the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Virgil Hawkins stood firm against a system that refused to permit him to enter the law school at the University of Florida, and decided instead to open another law school at Florida A&M University. Hawkins, who had to attend law school at Boston, Massachusetts, continued his fight for nearly 3 more decades before the state of Florida admitted him to the Florida bar. He was 71 years old. But his fighting spirit became a driving force for the students at the FAMU College of Law, a new crucible of learning that was established to prevent integration, but became a symbol of hope and opportunity that helped them to receive a glorious education despite daily challenges from our nation's inglorious past. The state did not match their desire to become lawyers with an equal response in terms of resources. Faculty salaries remained stagnant during the 17-year existence of the law school. Enhancement dollars were non-existent, as a set budget was offered each year with no opportunities for increases. But the fire that burned in the hearts and minds of the students at the FAMU College of Law was too bright to be extinguished by benign neglect. They would not be defined by others' expectations or suffer the need to prove themselves to anyone who challenged their rights, even their abilities to become lawyers. They dreamed their own dreams and forged their own paths. The FAMU College of Law nurtured and shaped them, honed their competitive edges, and sent them out into the world ready to stand tall in any courtroom in the nation. Many of the graduates have played major roles in the development of this state and this nation as lawyers and judges at the local, state, and federal levels. Others used their legal training to become senior-level managers at educational institutions and in corporate America. Because of the lack of resources and support, only 57 students graduated between 1954, the year of the first graduating class, and 1968, when the law school was closed. But the record of this historic group of lawyers helped to pave the way for the rebirth of the new FAMU College of Law. Of the first 5 African-American women lawyers in Florida, 4 were graduates of the FAMU College of Law, including Bernice Gaines Dorn, who engaged in private practice and returned to the FAMU College of Law to teach contracts. Seabet Wimbish, who became Florida's Deputy Secretary of Commerce and Chairperson of the Florida Crimes Compensation Commission, Gwendolyn Sawyer Cherry, who became the first African-American woman elected to the Florida House of Representatives, and Arthenia L. Joyner, the second female president of the National Bar Association. This was just one of the outstanding symbols of justice and opportunity that made the FAMU College of Law a special place. Here in their own words are some special comments from just a few who took advantage of the opportunities they found at the FAMU College of Law.
And one day before we had final exams, the dean walked in, didn't say anything to any of us. He started writing on one blackboard on that wall. He rode all the way to the end of the blackboard on that wall. He looked at us in a grim face, brushed his hands off and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, good luck, that's torts." He covered the whole book. And we said, wow, we don't remember studying all of that. But the professor covered the whole book. And others before us had told us about him, but we weren't aware that that's what it was going to be like.
Most of all, I remember the three people who were my roommates in law school: Elbert Hatchett, William Waterman, and Hank Jones. Unfortunately, the statute of limitations has not passed, so I cannot relate a number of things that happened in that apartment house. Notwithstanding the fact, I am still sure that we owe Miss Hutnell some rent.
One of my most memorable experiences there at the law school involved my having had the privilege of being on the moot court team. I was on a team with Jesse McCurry, William Waterman, Sam Monker, and a couple of other persons who were alternates. We had a good team, and we had reached the finals in the regional competition there at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. Jesse McCurry was arguing the last leg of the competition. And Jesse was asked during the course of his argument by the moot court judges a question regarding jurisdiction. And essentially, the judges asked Jesse McCurry to justify the presence jurisdictionally of that case in that court. And one of the judges simply said to Jesse McCurry, "Well, counsel, first of all, tell us, how did you get here?" And Jesse McCurry responded, "Your Honor, we came on the Greyhound." Now, the rest, of course, is history. And of course, we left by way of Greyhound, returning to Tallahassee.
When I finished law school, I finished Florida A&M. I went to New York and decided I wanted to get a master's degree in law. And so I went to Brooklyn College of Law and studied on a master's degree. The thing was very interesting. While in Florida, at Florida A&M Law School, there was this comradeship. There was the strong brotherhood. At the Brooklyn Law School, you was a number. I still have strong ties with not only my class at Florida A&M, but with the other two classes under us. And I don't even remember the names of any of the students at Brooklyn Law.
I have been a strong advocate, along with others, about Florida A&M University having its law school restored at FAMU on the Hill in Tallahassee. I'm very concerned about Florida A&M University College of Law to be restored at a different site, such as Tampa or in Orlando. The reason I'm concerned is that the purpose and mission of Florida A&M and the experience and the preparation that I obtained as a black attorney connected to the black community was nurtured right there in Tallahassee and on the Hill. I just do not believe that the same experience can happen if that law school is somewhere else, such as in Tampa or in Orlando, because the law school campus basically will be controlled by the culture and the economic and social dynamics of that particular community. The consequence is that it will produce more black attorneys, but they may not be connected to the black community. And Lord knows, I don't think we need more black attorneys who are not accountable to or connected to the black community.
So it was incumbent upon all of us to be prepared. And there was Mr. Alfonso McGee, who taught us criminal law and other courses. and Mr. Joseph Gibbs, and then there was Dean Williams, always there every day. But they were wonderful in that they treated us like we were their children, but yet they made sure that discipline was maintained, and they made sure that we understood the importance of a quality legal education, because after all, we realized that at a point that we were the last class and that the law school would be closing. And so I think that we were closer than all of the other classes, even though we had an opportunity to interact with 2 classes ahead of us. Once we went to our second year, then no one followed us. But my thoughts are always those of joy and warmth and camaraderie and family, because everybody took care of everybody else, and all of the teachers always were there for us. We always got that one-on-one attention. We were treated like people, and we were respected as people, and we knew that they loved us.
We had one professor, and those of you who attended the law school know who I'm talking about, who was notorious for walking around the streets at night with his sleeves rolled up, smoking a cigar, and his hat on. But he would periodically, like Jazz also, I think, he would periodically show up with us, and he wouldn't buy anything. He'd come over and get a cup and drink some of our refreshments. The next day, if you had a class with him, you knew that he was good. You had to answer almost every question. You knew it was going to be a tough day, because he saw you out late at night and you weren't studying. So you had to be ready. And believe me, he was on us all of the time.
The school was indeed one of the finest institutions of legal learning in the country. And it was that because of the dedication of the professors and because of the commitment of the students to learn the law as best they could and to do all they could with that law they learned.
Most of us were poor, and I'd say all of us were poor, but guess what? We never worried about anything because the people around there took care of us. If we were hungry, they fed us. And they fed us food, they fed us spiritual food, they fed us nourishing food, they fed us law school food, and we were well taken care of. And you can't even explain the love that existed around you because people cared about you so much. And here I was 500 miles, or 530 miles from Nashville, Tennessee, but I found myself with a family at Florida A&M University who cared about me. And even I'll give you an example of that caring in the law school. My mother passed about a month after I started the law school. And then my father passed 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day after my mother. And I thought that was the end of the world and I was going to have to drop out of law school. But these people, Professor Rogers, Kenneth Rogers, assisted me with doing legal papers on my parents, and then I would mail that to Nashville. But they were teaching me while I was doing my parents' estate. I was in class in the day, but the professor had me working on my family's legal papers and stuff at night, and when he thought it was okay, he said, well, mail it to Nashville. So you see the type of teaching that we had? And I tell you this, I'd put our education at Florida A&M College of Law up against any law school in the United States. I think it was that good.
I believe that when the political leaders of this state worked together to make the FAMU College of Law a reality, culminating with the signing of the bill on the Florida A&M University campus, that at that historic moment, the state of Florida demonstrated to the nation that the idea of a government of the people, for the people, and by the people also became a reality. Not just for the FAMU family, but for everyone who believes in justice and equal opportunity. Justice constitutes the core of our existence as a nation. Economic forces may be at the steering wheel, but it is justice that keeps the nation on track. The rebirth of the College of Law was more than an idea whose time had come. It was the manifestation of the principles that led to the founding of America, and it is up to all of us to see that this law school has a support system that will create dynamic and continuous growth. We are extremely thankful to everyone who helped make this day a reality.